Bah humbug, Sandman Nation. That's right, boys. I'm in a bad frickin' mood. But you know what? We don't only do this show when it shines. We do it when it rains too. So it is time to enter Sandman Sports. With me, as always, is my incredibly talented, always insightful co-host, Pat Klett. But you know what? Pat can also be grumpy around the holiday season too. In fact, I once saw Pat boo a Salvation Army bell ringer for poor hustle. And then there is the antithesis of grumpy. It is the ever-smiling, always happy Mr. Bill Sanders. In fact, Bill is so optimistic, he has been known to write a thank you note to the Grinch for, quote, teaching us all a valuable lesson about life. So thank you, Bill. All right, before we get into the opening, let's tell our listeners where they can find us. Guys, you can find us everywhere this time of year. We are like All I Want for Christmas Is You, but with a lot less charm and absolutely no royalties. You can, though, find us on Instagram at EnterSandmanSports. Visit our website at EnterSandmanSports.com, where we have tons of articles, expert advice, our St. Louis Syndicate videos, and all of our podcasts, including much more. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Enter Sandman Sports and follow us on Facebook at Enter Sandman Sports. All right, gents. Well, as I mentioned in the opening, yes, I am grumpy today. I had by far my worst betting weekend of the year, going 0-3 in my Stone Cold locks and 3-12 in my legend picks. Just absolutely brutal, and it pisses me off. But just like Frank Costanza says with his Festivus holiday, I have problems with all of you people, and now you are going to hear about them. So we're going to use our opening to bitch. That's right. We're going to complain for a few minutes. A couple months ago, I was also feeling a little salty, and it felt good to get some of that anger out when we talked about our pet peeves in our top 5 that episode. Today, we're not going to do a top 5 for it. We'll just keep it to the opening, and it is going to be specific to the holiday season. Yes, the holiday season is awesome, and it's a time for joy, love, and peace on earth. But there's certainly some irritating things about this time of year, and that's what I want to hear from both of you. What just annoys you? It can be a song, a movie, a relative, a past memory about Christmas, some mall Santa that mouthed off to you years ago, a bad present you got from your Aunt Ethel. It can be anything. But let's start complaining. Pat, my friend, lead us off with some things about this time of year that just irritate you.
I don't really have many. I'm 'tis the season
look
to
at
be
you,
jolly.
Mr. Jolly.
I got everything I want. I'm living a dream life. You know, everything's working out for me. I used to work with a coworker, and I was a bag boy at a grocery store, and he was the cashier. And every time I'd go to his line to bag groceries, he'd look at me, and he always had his Kurt Vonnegut Slaughterhouse-Five copy of his book. He's just an odd duck. And he'd be like, Pat, isn't this great? You know, we're just bagging groceries at a grocery store. He's like, Pat, isn't this great? And he was ever optimist. And I'm kind of feeling that way this season. I got nothing to complain about. I only have one pet peeve, and that is Paul McCartney's Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time is the worst song. It goes on a loop in your head.
Okay. Now we're talking.
So
good. Yes.
I got one.
Get that anger out, Pat.
I don't have anger.
Get that anger
I'm in a
out.
great
That's
mood.
what we're here
Life
for.
is great.
No,
I got
you
nothing
need
to
to let it
complain
out. It can't stay within.
I was 3-0 again in my Stone Cold locks. I am having a great week.
Guy's on fire.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Pat, you did say it was -6.
What do you mean? Oh yeah, it is cold, but you know what?
So,
it's a good time to just stay indoors and cuddle up in a blanket and just, you know.
Oh God!
Just
tis
the season, right. And everything is.
Chad is making Bierman more grumpy. It's the bah humbug spirit.
Jeez.
Merry Christmas,
Bierman,
Eric.
I got something.
Merry Christmas,
Bierman,
Eric, Bill.
Yeah, I have something. I'm going to save it.
Let's hear it.
I'm going to save it. And I think Pat, when I say this, Pat is going to then go,
oh yeah,
shit. Yeah, I should have thought of this. I should have thought of this one, because this is hands down the worst thing about Christmas time and the whole holiday season. Parking. Okay. There is, how many times have you been out and it's like, you just have to, you know, I'm not a big shopper, brick and mortar. I do a lot online. I love my wife. She does just 99% of all the shopping that we need to take care of for family, kids, everything. But when you have to go to a store and then you're waiting forever for the space, you're circling, and then people are doing the whole like jump in when they got their blinker on and someone steals the space, and all of a sudden people just forget all common decency in the world. I mean, I understand that it is, stressful and people get super pissed, but let's all chill, everybody. Let's all chill, because it just makes it absolutely miserable for everyone. Bitterness in, goodwill out the door. That's the holiday spirit, or my pet peeve, I should say, about the holiday season. Parking, man, it's the worst.
Oh, I love it. Yes, good. That's a good one, Bill. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Well, this might be a 3-hour podcast because I got all kinds of crap I'm gonna bitch about.
You're gonna carry this segment.
We'll try and keep this short. I gotta say, I found it interesting that nobody mentioned this last week in their top 5 Christmas movies. So maybe you two are with me on this one. But I cannot stand the movie A Christmas Story. I find everything about it to be annoying, but none more so than the scene where Ralphie's brother tries to eat his mashed potatoes with just his face. It is not only gross, but it's just stupid. And I literally want to throw my TV on the ground every time I see it. I hate that scene. And then the kid sticking his tongue to the pole where it gets stuck on oh my
Triple
God.
dog dare you.
Freaking, yeah. What an idiot. The voice of the narrator bothers me so much. I'm actually rooting for Ralphie to shoot his damn eye out by the end of that movie. And it does not help that TBS shows that freaking thing nonstop, I think, for 24 hours on Christmas Day. So that movie I cannot stand. And then from a song, oh my God, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer is the worst song. I hate the singing voice, the lyrics. I really hope that Grandma kind of suffered a little bit as she laid there bleeding out in the snow while Uncle Al played some cards, because I cannot stand that song. We'll just leave it at that. I've got plenty others, but Pat
made me see
that.
Eric.
Pat made me see that this is a time of joy and love, and I need to let that anger go. So,
Eric, there's a reason that nobody had Christmas Story in their top 5. It's because that movie sucks.
Yeah,
that movie sucks. So I think we're with you on that. Yeah,
you know what? I'm feeling better now. I'm feeling better because of that. Thank you,
Eric. If you ever feel bad and you want to call me and talk, I will just call you and talk, buddy.
Okay. You'll
Pat is there for a small fee.
Just let me bitch.
No, I think
he's just a nice guy, Bill.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I may take you up on that. All right. Well, I guess it is time to get into the show now. As usual, we have a crazy busy episode. We will start with headlines from the past weekend, and there were quite a few. We'll get into our hot takes and reflections. Then it's our Stone Cold Locks, where Pat continues to crush it, and Bill and I are just along for the ride. We have another awesome top 5. This week it is all about the bowl games, and lots of fun and shenanigans along the way, including Pat's dramatic reenactment of the time he got stuck in a chimney for, quote, research purposes. So do not miss that. All right, let's dive into the major headlines from the past weekend. It worked well last time, so we're going to start with soccer. Pat, stay awake, sir. This won't take long, I promise. The LA Galaxy are the 2024 MLS champions after they beat the New York Red Bulls 2-1 in actually a pretty good match on the pitch.
Name 3 players.
Oh, I couldn't name one.
Easily.
But
what's amazing is LA Galaxy won, Eric, without their best player. He was out with a knee injury. So, and his name is Ricky Puig, which I just feel like that last name is tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
But Spanish kid. Great player.
It's Comanche Indian.
No, Spanish.
Yeah, we just spent 60 more seconds on soccer than we ever should in this podcast. But congrats, gentlemen, on a great season and a championship, LA Galaxy. In college hoops, a few big upsets this past week where unranked teams took down top teams. They include number 1 Kansas, fell to the Creighton Blue Jays in one of the bigger early season surprises on the hardwood. Unranked Penn State took down number 8 Purdue in a Big Ten matchup. And then a great top 10 matchup a few days ago, number 4 Kentucky, top number 7 Gonzaga, 90-89 in overtime. The top 5 currently is number 1 Tennessee, followed by Auburn, Iowa State, Duke, and Kentucky. All right, let's get into college football, where the first ever 12-team playoff is set. And while there was certainly some debate, I would say overall this one was fairly cut and dried and mainly drama-free. I'll share the 12 teams that made it and the matchups in just a moment, but let's highlight some of the key games during championship week that got us to that point. In Conference USA, Jacksonville State absolutely crushes Western Kentucky 52-12, which was interesting because the prior week the Hilltoppers won that game in the regular season finale against Jack State. That looks like it might be Rich Rod's last game down there, as there are some strong rumors he may head back to West Virginia. But great job, Rich Rod, building that program down there, and good luck in your next stop. In the AAC Championship, Army continues their storybook season by dismantling Tulane 35-14. What a wonderful season the Black Knights continue to have, and now they get to play in one of the best rivalry games in our nation, the Army-Navy game this weekend. Always looking forward to that. Our adopted Heisman hopeful son, running back Ashton Genty, ran for 209 yards in the Broncos' 21-7 win over UNLV and put himself in position for one of the tightest Heisman races we have seen in at least a decade. Most believe it will be a very tight margin between Genty and Colorado everything player Travis Hunter. The other 2 finalists are quarterback Cam Ward of Miami and quarterback Dylan Gabriel of Oregon, and we will find out who wins it this Saturday evening. My Miami Redhawks get absolutely embarrassed by the Ohio Bobcats in the MAC championship, and Kenny Dillingham continues his incredible coaching season at Arizona State as the Sun Devils decimate Iowa State 45-19 in a game that wasn't even that close. Could Dillingham be in line for a super big boy coaching gig here in a few weeks? I think the answer could be yes. That guy is a hot commodity, and I think he's going to be on many athletic directors' wish lists. In a top 5 tussle for the SEC championship, the Georgia Bulldogs remain the only team to beat Texas this season, now for the second time, as they win in overtime 22-19. My betting favorite this year, the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns, unfortunately brought the mild to the field for the Sun Belt Championship, as they never give Marshall even a sweat. The Thundering Herd win, going away 31-3. In a very compelling game that most likely kept the Miami Hurricanes out of the CFP, Clemson held off SMU's furious comeback and won the ACC Championship game 34-31. People may be questioning Dabo, and this wasn't their finest season, but Clemson is now ACC champs for the 8th time in the past 10 years. Very impressive to the Tigers. And in the Big Ten, Penn State looked very good, but just not good enough to compete with the only remaining undefeated team in all of D1. That would be Dan Lanning's Oregon Ducks. And man, this team is going to be tough to beat. Although I do think they got a raw deal with the seeding. So let's get into the bracket now. I'm sure we all may have something to say about this in our hot takes too. But the top 4 seeds were number 1, Oregon, and they will play the winner of the matchup between number 8, Ohio State, and number 9, Tennessee. Number 2 seed is Georgia, and they will play the winner from a very intriguing in-state matchup that doesn't happen very often. That is number 7, Notre Dame will be hosting number 10, Indiana. Number 3 seed is the Boise State Broncos, and they will play the winner between number 6, Penn State, who will host the number 11 SMU Mustangs. And I heard that's going to be a whiteout game in Happy Valley, so that should be a lot of fun. Rounding out the top 4 seeds is Arizona State at number 4, and they will play the winner between the number 5 seeded Texas Longhorns, who will be hosting the number 12 Clemson Tigers. We'll get more into that in just a moment, but real quick in the NFL, the Lions nipped the Packers in a great Thursday night game. Pat's Vikings and Bills Seahawks continue to look legit by notching 2 more wins. The Rams upset the Bills at SoFi in the highest scoring game of the season so far. And my Bengals win in Dallas in a game that I was at They win it in such strange fashion when a blocked punt was fumbled by a Cowboy, giving the Bengals another chance, and they went down and scored a touchdown with 1 minute left. And one final thing, back to college football real quick. We don't get a chance to share breaking news on this podcast too often. But just about 90 minutes, a couple hours ago, news came down the pike that Bill Belichick signed a 5-year contract to become the new head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. So that should be interesting. All right. Well, we have a lot of stuff to react to and some exciting things going on in the world of sports. So let's get into our hot takes. And Bill, who are our hot takes brought by this week? Oh, there it is. Mike's hot
put on the swag.
honey.
We got Mike's hot honey, and last week we talked about this, but we're moving Mike's hot honey up to hot takes because it just makes too much sense. Hot takes brought to you by Mike's hot honey, and we talked about this last week in the episode, but we've all tried this product. It's fantastic. You guys got to try it, especially over the holiday season. It's so good on so many things. A pulled pork, Brussels sprouts, grilled cheese, PB&Js, breakfast burritos. You honestly can't go wrong. This stuff's absolutely delicious. You guys also said last week, and I don't know if you want to add in anything, if you tried it on anything new this week, but you can find it in your honey aisle at your local grocery store and supermarket. Go try it. Give it a try. You guys are not going to be disappointed. Trust me.
Yeah, you can not only buy it at your local grocery store, but you can buy it online too. You can go to mikeshothoney.com, and I'll tell you, if you go there, you know what image they show on a video that makes me want to do it? They show someone just putting on the honey on pieces of pizza, which I know you do with Mod. I've never done that. I may have to do that this weekend. That sounds really good. But no, listeners, if you haven't tried it, go get some Mike's Hot Honey. It is fantastic.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Pat, why don't you start us off, sir, with your hot takes?
Sure. I'm curious. Did you like Jerry World? Is that your first time at Cowboy Stadium?
It is my first time ever at Jerry World. I loved it. It is my second favorite stadium that I've been to. SoFi is still number one, but it is a close second for the stadium being 15 years old, which I couldn't believe it was 15 years old. It's incredible.
Nice. Yeah, my Saturday was spent not watching football like it has been all season. And that's okay because my kids will be gone in 4 years and I'll be an empty nester. And by then I'll have plenty of time to watch football. And hopefully by then they've figured out the college football playoffs and got it down to a science, maybe do a better job, make sure there isn't so much inequity in the schedules, maybe some more conference games throughout the year. Would be nice. I think, maybe you have to do away with that Samford, Alabama matchup. Get some more conference.
It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere.
Samford that's a big rivalry, Maybe they'll keep it within 50 points next year. But yeah, so hopefully by the time I do get to watch college football, they'll have it all figured out. But I missed some really good games. I saw some highlights. Looked like some awesome games, but I did get to watch the Sunday NFL action and Skol Vikes. We are getting no love, national attention. Everyone's kind of dismissing the Vikes, and I'm fine with that. And just don't be surprised when we beat the Lions in the final week of the year and we get the number 1 seed throughout the whole playoffs. I mean, it's happening.
Wow.
I think it's time. I've been kind of quietly not talking about my Vikes, but I think it's time to let everyone know that we're here and it's going to happen. This is our year. Let's see what else. The Juan Soto contract, $750 million.
I got that.
Too shy.
That's insane. Yep. I think, what if we all had contracts like that, like not that big, but like, my garbage man just signed a 5-year, $500,000 contract to stay with Suburban Waste Services. And he gets a $500 guarantee and weekends off. We should drop all our contracts like that with incentives, and just it would make life so much more interesting. But I can't believe that's how much money we're paying athletes now. It's our fault.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. Did you guys see any of the reaction videos of the Yankees fans? It actually made me smile a little bit seeing them so miserable about it, because it wasn't that he picked like the Mets who gave him $200 million more than the Yankees. They basically offered him the same thing, and he still went to the Mets.
Yeah.
And the guy that I was
I think
listening
he
to
wants
was
to be the guy. You know, he
yeah,
wants to be the
yeah.
guy.
And
Yeah.
and it sounds like he wanted to play with Francisco Lindor, and
Oh,
there were a
yeah.
number of other reasons. But I mean, they were talking about it. Steve Cohen is worth $22 billion. Hal Steinbrenner is worth $1 billion. I mean, that's the discrepancy now. Are the Mets ready to kind of take that, next step to be the number one team in New York City, which I don't think any Yankee fans want. And I'm here for it. I
Mhm.
can't wait. So yeah, that contract was nuts, Pat.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my weekend.
Nice. I got a whole bunch of stuff. So Bierman, I mean, seriously, maybe just cut me off at some point. I mean, this weekend
No,
was
let's
crazy, you
hear,
guys.
dude. I know, tons.
Yeah, and you mentioned a few of the things, right? I mean, I was going to mention the Belichick thing, but the angle from out here is, I think I even might have mentioned this last week, but Steve Belichick is the current defensive coordinator for the Huskies, and he absolutely turned chicken shit into chicken salad this year. I mean, love these kids, all the guys that stuck with the program after DeBoer left, the transfers that came in. But I mean, you couldn't name three of the guys on our defense if you were a diehard Husky. And he just turned that unit into a very respectable unit. And so they're saying that with Bill going to UNC, that Steve Belichick's likely to be the coach in waiting. So the Huskies are going to lose this, young guy that has the brand and the name of Belichick. And so it's really disappointing out here. But, I think it's going to be fascinating to see what Bill does at the college level. So that's going to be really fun. I was not expecting the Georgia-Texas game to be so low scoring. And I was also just going to say that back injury looked really bad, the elbow injury. And so, seeing what happens with him being hurt, the kid that came in was slinging it all over the place, had swagger. And, obviously Georgia's not going to have crappy guys even in their backup QB spot. But I think that's going to be really interesting to see what Georgia is able to do. I was going to say also, I know Pat said he didn't watch the game, but Bierman, maybe you were able to down there in Texas, because I figure a lot of people were probably wanting to watch the Longhorns. But what is up with the Sark teams and the penalties? Like, Texas couldn't get out of their own way. And I don't know if you heard the halftime thing as he was talking with the reporter heading off the field, but he was like, how about they call Georgia for a holding penalty? That was basically all he said to the.
We thought he was going to get a fine for that. So we actually, so as I said, I was down there. My wife and I went down and visited my best friend and his wife, and they had a party with friends. She went to Texas for her MBA, and so big Longhorn fan, and then all their neighbors in there. So there's probably 20 people all watching this, all Longhorn fans, and they all thought, what Sark said was funny. We didn't really get into whether or not he complains a lot about, penalties, or if the team is more penalty prone. That I don't know, but I know there was a big discrepancy on the penalties.
No doubt.
That game for sure.
No doubt. Yeah. And I was just kind of thinking back to Pete Carroll coaching tree guys, and you've got guys like Sark. Pete Carroll, Seahawks were always the most penalized team in the NFL when he was the head coach. At USC was the most penalized team in college football when he was the head coach. Now you have Sark. Every team that he's been with, they get penalized. Lane Kiffin, wherever he goes, they are highly penalized. So it's just interesting to see, is it a lack of discipline? Is it just, poor officiating, or maybe they're being lopsided or one-sided? But anyway, I just thought that was a fascinating game. I'll wrap my other ones up fairly quick. But Cam Scatabo, you mentioned ASU, Kenny Dillingham, just dominant in that game. And what a fun kid to root for and watch. I mean, he's just built like a tank. And so that's been really fun. Oregon looked super susceptible on defense. I think I might have texted you guys. They went down, marched down the field, scored a touchdown. And I think I texted you, Oregon by 1 million. I mean, I was just feeling like they were going to win that game by 30 points. And Penn State was really good. I mean, they surprised me there, but the defense susceptible. I'm really fascinated to see, can Oregon hang on? Pat mentioned it briefly, but they got the shaft in the college football selections and the seedings. I mean, you got the number one seed, and their path is next to impossible. They're going to play Tennessee or Ohio State. Then they're going to play Texas or Clemson. right? I mean, if or one of those teams goes through, I mean, and then they're probably going to face, the best team, obviously from the bottom half of the bracket, Georgia or whoever. So that was, I'm not shedding a tear for Oregon. I'll tell you that. Anyway, the last thing that I'll throw out there, I'm sorry I've gone on and on in my hot takes, but did you guys see Nick Saban by any chance? I'm guessing Pat didn't, but on game day, on the college football playoff show, Nick Saban came on and they asked him, and he went on and on about how the SEC basically got robbed, and he's stumping for the SEC because of the strength of schedule. And I was just curious for you guys, where do you sit on this when you have an Alabama 3-loss team and an SMU team that played in their conference championship game and then lost? And I think we'd all sit here and say that if Alabama was playing SMU tomorrow, Alabama would be favored, right? I mean, we'd probably all think that they were going to win that game. But doesn't SMU deserve that right to be there, because Alabama lost to Vanderbilt and then went and scored 3 points in Norman, Oklahoma against this crappy 6-6 Sooners team? So
I don't think there's any debate. I don't think
I don't
Alabama
either.
has anything to complain about. I think they got it right.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I just was curious what your guys' thoughts were, because Saban was just, I really have liked Saban this year on game day, but it just seemed like he was a shill for the SEC in that moment. So anyway, that's enough for me on Stone Cold, not Stone Cold Locks, but Hot Takes.
Hot Takes
Darren?
brought to you by Mike's Hot Honey.
Brought to you by Mike's Hot Honey.
I've got a couple this week. So as I mentioned, I went to Dallas this past weekend to visit my best friend, longtime CMEN Nation member Keith Vesper. Shout out to Keith and his lovely wife, Leslie, who were just, both of them were awesome hosts. I got to experience Jerry World for the first time. Just an incredible stadium, as I mentioned earlier. Really cool. The Bengals game we went to, that was on Monday night, but I do have to say, on Sunday, Keith took us to a place called Cosm to watch the Rams versus Bills game. Have you guys ever heard of this? COSM? Do you have any idea what this is? Okay. So then you know how blown away I was by this bill.
I can't wait to do it.
I took pictures. I can't really show them on this, but it was crazy. So it is the coolest way I've ever seen a game outside of being live in a stadium. This place has an 87-foot, 12K LED dome screen where you seriously feel I'm not kidding. You really feel like you are in the stadium and you have 50-yard line seats. And then occasionally they'll switch the view. So you're still sitting in your same seat, but now you'll be right on the goal line. They're about to go and you're right there. And then they'll switch it and you can be behind the uprights on kicks. So you can see if the kick's coming right at you. It's so immersive of an experience. It was just crazy. I think Dallas and LA are the only two places they have right now this, but hopefully more will be built. You have to actually buy tickets. You get seats. Obviously they have food and drinks and they have servers. But then as soon as the game ends, you have to leave because they have people waiting for the next game. So for us, there's people there for the Sunday night game. So you're there for the game. And Keith was telling me tickets for the SEC championship game, which was the night before the Texas game, were $250 in this venue. Yeah, which is crazy. So, and I don't know that I'd pay $250 to sit there, but it's a really cool experience. If you ever get a chance to see it.
Do you know what you paid?
I honestly don't know. Keith bought the tickets nice. And he said he got a 50% off, and he wouldn't tell me how much he paid. So it is nice having generous friends. Yeah. Yes, that is for sure. So, it was a really cool experience. So, but while in Dallas, I also learned something, guys, and I very few times do I learn something I didn't know already about sports. And so when I do, it's freaking awesome and I love it. And Keith taught me something that I did not know. And I'm going to wager that you guys don't know this either. And if you do, awesome. But I would guess 99% of our listeners do not know this. So what is the rarest way to score in football? Do you guys know? The rarest way to score
missed
points,
a blocked field goal, take it the other way.
So
Yeah, I would have
that's a
guessed.
very, very good guess. It's you're kind of in the ballpark, Pat. But did you guys know there is a thing called a 1-point safety?
No.
It's legit. Okay. So, a 1-point safety is when the team trying to score a 2-point conversion or a PAT. So they've scored a touchdown. They are now going for the point after or a 2-point conversion. They turn the ball over. So perhaps they fumble the 2-point conversion or the extra point is blocked. The defense picks that ball up, but for some reason they may run back into the end zone. They get it in regular territory, but they run back into the end zone and get tackled. So now it is a safety, but it is a 1-point safety.
Really?
It
Wow.
has never happened in the NFL. It has happened 3 times in college football. It happened back in 1971. Syracuse scored the 1 point against Indiana. In 2004, Texas scored the 1 point versus Texas A&M. And in 2013, Bill's beloved Oregon Ducks in the Fiesta Bowl scored 1 point against the Kansas State
How dare you.
Wildcats. And that
How
was
dare you.
the most recent. It has only happened 3 times ever in
Wow.
both the NFL and college football. Yeah. So I just thought that was really cool. Thank you, Keith, for teaching me something that I did not know. And now I think many of our listeners know something that they did not know.
And
It
I,
exists,
and I
but
will
it
forget it.
is
I will
very
forget
rare.
it by the end of next week.
It's a good bar bet, too.
Yeah.
It's a good bar bet.
Yeah, wow. And by the way, shout out, thank you, Leslie Vesper, the only reason that I know Eric Bierman.
That is true.
Yep.
You know what? We owe them a big debt of gratitude. So
Yes, we
thank
do.
you both.
I feel like I still don't really know Eric Bierman.
No. Hey, me bitching at the opening,
Yeah.
you get a much better view
I do.
of this
I do.
into the soul of Eric Bierman.
If this is episode 17,
There's layers. He's like an onion.
Pat, if this is episode 17, at what point will you know Eric Bierman? What episode?
Probably not till the end of the year trip when
Oh,
we go to
okay,
Cincinnati.
I thought you were going to say like
it's 8 more
200 or
episodes.
500 or something. Yeah. Okay,
No.
Yeah.
No,
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm a very complex individual.
I can't wait for Nailed It because Pat might be making a move.
I am not too
I'm
happy
making a
with
move?
Nailed It.
You might have made a little move.
That's another thing I'm
Stay
grumpy
tuned.
about.
There's nothing
I wasn't going to bring it up.
For us.
Freaking Nailed It sucks too. Okay. I do want to get a little bit into the CFP
Yes,
and my
let's
thoughts
go.
around that. So, you had mentioned Oregon's track, and I want to talk a little bit about the odds of all the teams. But before I do that, I want to share with you, if Oregon plays the 3 teams that are favored for them to be playing, they will have to play the 3 biggest odds-on favorites to win the CFP beyond themselves, of course. So to me, that is just crazy. So the best odds are both Oregon and Texas at plus 350, Georgia at plus 380, and Ohio State at plus 475. So Texas, Georgia, and Ohio State are the 3 teams that they are most likely going to play, which is just, they really got the raw in there. Penn State's at plus 650. Then Notre Dame is at plus 1100. Then a big jump up to Tennessee at 2800. SMU and Indiana at 4500. Clemson's $5,000, and Boise and Arizona State rounded out as the biggest underdogs at plus 6,000. But back to Oregon, and you mentioned it, Bill. Someone asked me recently if I thought there should be a flexible bracket versus fixed, and for me, I think the answer is absolutely yes after seeing this, because Oregon did get screwed in my opinion. Penn State and Georgia have much easier paths. So, here's what I think. And Keith and I were talking about this too. I think this would be so compelling, dude. Not necessarily reseed, But Oregon, after each round, Oregon as the number 1 seed, they get to select who they play.
Wow.
And then the next highest seed, they get to select who they play. Imagine that for a second. Think about just from a television standpoint, you could sell the hell out of that. People would tune in. I mean, you could get it's a whole nother opponent selection show. The opponent selection show.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, on the wall, right on the locker room wall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They wanted us.
They wanted us. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a
great idea.
I love that, and I think that is just I think it's a novel idea that really isn't used right now. So I think that's a way where you could fix it. I guess it is now time to make our listeners some money. It's time to get into our Stone Cold locks. Another great week for Pat the Guru, who went 3-0. Bill went 2-1, and I crapped the bed and went 0-3 this week. But we still all have very solid records for the season. Pat is a crazy good 30-14-1. And myself and Bill are both now tied at 25-19-1. All right. Pat, Mr. 3-0. I hope our listeners are finally paying attention to. Put some money on this man's picks.
Here's
Line
the worst thing.
your pockets.
I didn't know what to bet this week in the Ben Harper, and I should have just done my picks.
Why aren't you going with your picks?
I'm dumb. I literally have no idea what I'm doing.
A few episodes ago, Eric said Pat is 29-0, and or Eric said that, and then Pat said, "Hold on, I'm 29-0, not 29-0. You're almost freaking 29-0. I mean, now you are rolling, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's impressive. So yeah, keep it going, and I'm glad you go first. Because then Eric and I can just follow on to your picks
and just say, I had that.
We're gonna have three
pats. Yeah. We're gonna have three pats.
Well,
three pats this week. Yeah.
I was trying to downplay my Vikes over the last few weeks, but it's time. Skol Vikes. They are 6.5-point favorites. Monday versus Chicago. We handled them pretty well last time. It just got sloppy at the end and went to overtime.
Yeah.
Last week, the Bears did not get the interim coach spark that sometimes happens, and they just were confused and had 4 yards of offense at halftime, which is not really good. This team is about to start to tank, and they're going to start going for that draft position, and this could be my lock of the month. This could be the lock of the month. Yep.
You wearing Packers gear if it doesn't hit?
I don't know where I would get Packers gear.
I'm sure you could find it there.
Sure. I'm saying Vikes 55, Bears 3, and Minnesota. Wow. Yeah, Minnesota's going to run the ball all day long, and it's just going to be a rout. So give me the Vikes. Skol.
I like it. I had it. I didn't pick it. But I did definitely think about that one. I'm going to stick with Pat's theme though, and stick with my hometown city. I mean, they got the wrong team favored in this game. Did they forget that the Packers are coming to Seattle, where Seattle has handled the Packers time and time and time again in Seattle? So I just don't see why it's a 3-point line in Green Bay's favor. Now, I might be proven completely wrong. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I love my Hawks. But this defense has just continued to improve week after week. They've made a couple of huge acquisitions. Leonard Williams is in the running for defensive MVP. I mean, the guy is just an absolute wrecker in there right now. So love with the Hawks. Last week, most complete performance of the season, all 3 phases against Arizona. They dominated the game. Give me the Hawks +3.
All right.
Freaking homers.
I know.
We are such homers.
Totally.
I've been trying the whole year. I've been trying not to be a homer, but this year, this one, it had to do it.
Yeah. All right. Hit us with the Bengals.
All right. Yeah. I am going, I just dawned on me when this game is. I don't know if this game is played until next Wednesday. So we're skirting a little bit until between now and the next time we do. But we're going to go with it anyways because it's one of my best bets. It is a bowl game. And we are going with the James Madison Dukes, giving 7 points against the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, we often talk about Kurt Signetti and his great job at Indiana, but it is now time to give the program he left, James Madison, its due. Despite losing Coach Sig and 7 other top players to Indiana, the Dukes had another solid season, going 8-4. They do limp in with 2 consecutive losses, but their opponent, Western Kentucky, has been even more consistent. The Hilltoppers coming in 8-5, but were absolutely crushed, 52-12 by Jacksonville State in the Conference USA Championship. I love all the statistical advantages that JMU brings into this game. They boast a top 25 defense, a top 35 offense, and they lead the nation in turnover margin at plus 1.4 per game. I expect the Dukes to play hungry and cover the number comfortably. We will take James Madison -7.
Love that.
Good. My second one is Denver giving 4 points at home versus Indy. I think Denver, coming off a bye week, is going to look to shut down Indy's run game and make them have to pass to beat them, and it's just not going to be good for them. So give me Denver at home giving 4 points. That's all I got on that game. I just feel like Indy's not going to travel to Denver and do anything.
So I thought Pat for sure was going to pick this, and maybe it's going to be his third one. I hope so. But I was hoping that he was going to do this so I could do it too, Pat. But I got Pitt plus 5.5 against Philly. And, here's the thing. As I was looking at the games, and we didn't have much to choose from this week, obviously, with just the NFL and then the Army-Navy game. But I just kept thinking in my brain, Tomlin is greater than Nick Sirianni. And I just kept thinking, Tomlin is greater than Nick Sirianni. And I had Pat in the back of my head. Tomlin, always winning records. Steelers franchise, just so consistent. Threw up in my mouth a little bit about the Steelers and giving them compliments. But I just feel like they're going into Philly and they're going to take care of business. Now, do they win the game? I don't know. But I just think with Russell Wilson in there, their offense has really kind of found a spark. I feel like they're going to be dangerous. They're always rock solid on defense. So give me Pitt plus 5.5.
All right. I'm going to go to the Rams at 49ers game. Both the Rams and 49ers delivered wins for me last week in my best bets. My NFL best bets, actually, we went 2-1 there. So that was the one silver lining to last week. But this time I am backing San Francisco -2.5. The Rams had a great win
all day
over the Bills in the highest scoring game of the 2024 season, but came at home against a team that traveled 3,000 miles. Meanwhile, the 49ers dominated the Bears. They still boast a top 5 offense despite missing key contributors like McCaffrey and Jordan Mason. Defensively, San Francisco holds a significant edge, very, very significant edge. They rank in the top 3 in yardage allowed, and the Rams sit at 26th overall. This matchup leans heavily in favor of the 49ers. So with the spread under field goal, I'm going to take the 49ers -2.5.
Pat, hit us with your third.
All right. Detroit Buffalo under 54.5 points. I think this will be a run-heavy game for both teams. Buffalo wants to control the clock in this one. I don't think they want to get into another shootout, and that's a lot to ask from Josh Allen week after week to produce like that. That's so much on his shoulders. So I feel like they're going to try to run the ball, slow it down, maintain possession, keep that Detroit offense off the field, and that's how they're going to go about it. And I think 54 is a lot of points, and I don't think they get there this week. So give me that under.
So
yeah,
nice. Well, I'm going to stick in line with Pat again. I'm on an under, and for my third Stone Cold lock, and that is the Baltimore New York Giants game. It's under 42.5, and while Baltimore could eclipse the 42.5 by themselves, maybe this week, I actually think the Giants defense is decent enough to hold them down to, in the 30-point range. And I just do not see New York Giants scoring more than 13 points against this Baltimore Ravens defense. And so why not take the 14.5-point spread and just go big on the Ravens? I actually think it's a smarter play to play the under because I just don't see the Giants holding up their end of the bargain in this game in terms of scoring points. So I see that sort of being a 31-10 or something like that. But I feel better about the under than I do the big spread, because the NFL, it's just so hard. That 14.5 with the hook.
I saw 15. I saw 15. Is that the highest spread this year?
Yeah.
Is that the largest spread this year? Or
I don't think so.
Bigger?
There was another game I remember earlier that was 16.5.
I think the
maybe?
Lions were 16.5 against somebody, but it's close.
Yeah.
All
Bierman,
right,
what you got for your last
the
one?
Baltimore Giants under 42.5. I like that. All right, I am going to the desert, and we're going to take the Cardinals minus 6.5 points over the New England Patriots. The Cardinals have dropped 3 straight, but 2 losses were to the NFC West leading Seattle Seahawks and to the 11-2 Minnesota Vikings. So little homerism there coming in to bite the Cardinals. The Patriots at 3-10 remain one of the league's worst teams, with rookie quarterback Drake May still adjusting to the big game here, and he's still very prone to mistakes. Arizona holds a clear offensive edge. They rank 12th compared to New England's 31st overall in offensive efficiency, and their balanced approach to me just gives them the upper hand in this game at home against a struggling Patriots team traveling cross country. The Cardinals will win comfortably and cover the spread of 6.5.
Yeah, love that one.
All right. Okay. Well, we are now going to move into our top 5 for this episode. And this one is a little different. It is very sports related and is very current sports related. We're going to look ahead to the bowl season that starts in just a few days. And this crew right here is going to give our top 5 bold predictions for the 2024-25 bowl season. So let's see how good we are at being provocative prognosticators. Say that 3 times fast. All right, Pat, lead us off, sir, with your number 4 and number 5 bold bowl predictions.
It's pretty bold, but Michigan beats Bama. They're 11-point dogs.
I love that.
But I compare this to like, I'll teach kids tennis, right? And every kid thinks they're the greatest and they want to play up. Oh, I want to play in the next group, right? And then when you put these kids who think they're all that on the courts with the lower kids, they just tank and they don't perform, and it's because they're too proud. So I feel like Alabama feels like they're snubbed. They're probably just gonna barely show up for this game. And I think Michigan knows what they are. This wasn't a surprise to them. So I think they're going to be excited to knock the snot out of Bama. And that's my prediction. Michigan wins outright in that game. What do you think?
That is a great bold prediction. I love it, Pat. No, that's awesome.
I got the assignment right.
There you go. You did. All right. What do you got for number 4?
Number 4, I have Oregon does not win the whole thing. They are pretty much betting favorites. Everyone thinks they're going to win. I feel like someone will step up and surprise the football world. I do like Clemson. I think they're sneaky. ASU could make some waves. I think one of those teams will at least make it interesting. I don't think it's going to be a clear cut, favorites coming through. I feel like Oregon will be surprised and knocked out before the championship round. That's my bold.
Bold.
That's bold.
That's
good. That is.
That's good.
Nice job.
What do you got, Bill?
I figured it'd be a good time to shout out our 8 available college bowl pools, Bierman, as we're talking about bold predictions. So
nice.
If you would like any further information on that, you can email me at bill@sandmanpools.com, and love to get you hooked up with all the exciting formats and varieties that we've got going this year. It's going to be super exciting. My number 5 is a 2-pat. I have Michigan beating Alabama on December 31st. Nice. And I'll throw in another one. DeBoer fired after his 4-loss season in Alabama.
Up. That's a bold prediction.
That's too
bold prediction. That's probably too bold. It's probably too bold.
I love it.
But I mean,
that's
Alabama Nation's already pissed. So if Michigan puts a hurting on them, who knows? Who knows where it goes?
I love it.
My number 4 is Boise State beats Penn State in round 2 in the Fiesta Bowl. So, I think Penn State, after watching them play Oregon's actually got a legit chance to win it all. I mean, but I will also say Boise State's only loss of the year was at Autzen against Oregon, and it was a 1-score game. So both teams gave Oregon that run, right? And I think Ashton Gianti, if that guy doesn't win the Heisman Trophy, by the way, Bierman, you brought it up earlier.
He's not gonna.
In your head. I know he's not, and it's ridiculous. That guy.
Oh, I think it's going to be closer than you think.
Like Travis
I
Hunter,
think it's going to be.
Travis Hunter is like the odds. What is it like?
It's such.
I think it's going to be closer.
You bet $50, you win
it's,
$51 on Travis Hunter.
It's
right
just
now. Yeah.
Travis Hunter does. I mean, the guy's an amazing football player, amazing athlete, plays both ways, all the stuff. But Ashton Genty this is a historic season that is in progress, and he has that team on his back every single week. If he doesn't win, it will be an absolute travesty of justice. So that's my 5 and 4. Bierman?
My number 5 is the First Responder Bowl will have 100 points scored. Now, we're going to need our chief research officer to confirm this, but I believe the only 2 games this year to total above 100 points were James Madison beating North Carolina. James Madison beat North Carolina 70-50, so that was 120 points. And SMU beat TCU 66-42 for 108 total points.
I thought New Mexico State had a couple big games.
They were
in the 90s.
Well, New Mexico had some in the 90s. Yeah. They were close, but I think those were the only 2. But we'll get our CRO on that to confirm. But I believe the First Responder Bowl between the Texas State Bobcats and the North Texas Mean Green will surpass 100 points and will be the only bowl game this season to do that. Texas State is number 5 in the nation at scoring at 37 points per game. North Texas is number 20 at 34 points per game. They each average more than 475 yards per game and are in top 5 in the country in that stat, both of them. While Texas State's defense is okay, they only give up 354 yards and 27 points per game, so it's manageable there. But the North Texas D is just pitiful. They rank almost at the bottom. They rank 128th in the nation in yards allowed at 476 yards per game, and they give up 36 points per game. I expect a lot of fireworks here, so I definitely like the over of 68.5, but I'm going to make my first bold prediction of seeing this total go over 3 digits. And then for number 4, the biggest point spread underdog of the bowl season, the Marshall Thundering Herd will beat the Army Black Knights in the Independence Bowl.
That's bold.
I will say Duke is also 14-point underdogs against Ole Miss, so we're tied there in terms of the biggest spread underdog. But I'm going to take Marshall here. I love the Army story and how awesome they've been this season, but they're favored by 14 points over Marshall here, and I just don't see it. Their offensive output is very similar in yardage and points, both of these teams. And while Army definitely has the advantage on the defensive side of the ball, they give up actually 80 less yards per game and 9 less points per game. But I think Marshall has a real chance for the upset, and here's why. Several key reasons. So one, they looked fantastic in the Sun Belt Championship. They decimated Louisiana 31-3, and Louisiana is a very good team. They come in on a 7-game winning streak, and their only losses this entire season are against Ohio State, Virginia Tech, and a very good 8-4 Georgia Southern team. They also have 3 weeks to rest and to prepare for the Army vaunted rushing offense. So they're going to be, for 3 straight weeks, that's all they're going to do is try and learn how to stop this rushing offense. And Army has to play this week against Navy. They're going to be more beat up in that huge rivalry game. Now, what makes this exceptionally bold is that Marshall loses their head coach, Charles Huff, to Southern Miss, and most likely some of their players are going to go with him. So I don't love that. But these aren't called maybe predictions, Pat. These are called bold predictions. And the stats and my gut tell me that this could happen. So let's rock it, Thundering Herd, my number 4 bold prediction of the bowl season.
All right. My bold prediction will be no one will watch any of these bowl games except for the parents of the players because bowl games are becoming the new NIT. Bowl games used to be fun when all the guys played and didn't puss out because of the draft and their draft status and transfer portals. And I think the bowls are going to have the lowest ratings ever, except for obviously the bowls that count.
The CFP. Yeah.
You know, it is different, but I will say,
it's a good take.
And this is a little bit of plug for all of us, but you know what makes it a hell of a lot more interesting?
Pools.
Gambling.
Yeah, no doubt.
Pools.
No doubt. But
you enter those pools, you're interested in every single bowl game. You will watch every single bowl game.
The CFP gives you enough now with the 12 teams that
and that's,
I don't think you need to.
Yeah.
I mean, you can if you want. I'm not going to tell you how to gamble, but for me, I'm like, I might not even watch a game other than the 12 teams that count. Just saying. And I
think there's a lot of people that agree.
Yeah.
With you.
Yeah. No, it's
becoming the NIT.
Yeah.
But and then my other bold prediction: Ohio State wins the whole damn thing. They come back. They get redemption. Ryan Day gets an extension. He gets an extension, and Ohio State is your national champions.
Yeah. Wow. I can't see it,
bold.
but that's bold. Yeah, that's bold. That is bold. And
I could absolutely see it.
Mm-hmm.
I could absolutely see it. I mean, let's just
they
continue to pour salt into Bierman's wounds.
They didn't have to play.
I'm already feeling like a fucking grumpy ass today, Pat. Let's just talk about how State winning the whole thing. Yeah.
Eric, I'm sorry, buddy.
No, you know what?
Eric loves Pat. Eric hates Pat. Eric loves Pat. Eric.
It's a great bold prediction. That is, I could totally see that happening.
My wife goes through the same. My wife goes through the same thing.
Same waves.
Yep.
I love that, Pat. I actually really enjoyed this category, Eric. I thought it was fun thinking of these things. This one is one that made me cringe a little as I typed it into my notes, but I've got Notre Dame having the largest margin of victory in round 1 of the CFP. I've loved Indiana's story. I think, Kurt Signetti, Church of Signetti, just so much cool stuff with Indiana. But I think some of their flaws were exposed later in the year as they played the better teams. And I just think that they're going to run into Notre Dame in South Bend, and it's going to be a bloodbath. So I don't necessarily want that to happen, but that's going to be my third bold prediction. And then my second is I've got my hometown Dogs. They're 6.5 point underdogs. We're playing the Sun Bowl, which is just about the least interesting bowl location that you could go to, El Paso, Texas, for that game. But they're going to upset Louisville. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch any of the UW-Oregon game, in which the Huskies got destroyed. Oregon dominated the whole game. But they've got this freshman named DeMond Williams that played the whole game at quarterback. And he was sort of the quarterback in waiting behind Will Rogers. And the kid is electric. So I just feel like he gets a bunch more practices running as QB1. A bunch of these kids are, there's not a lot of opt-outs with the Huskies. These guys, kind of to Pat's point earlier about Michigan, the Huskies knew they were going to struggle this year. These kids are pumped to be playing in this bowl game. Not, oh my gosh, we got to go play in this thing. So give me the Dogs, plus 6.5. I'm just really excited for this game and to see DeMond get another chance to shine. So before next year, and hopefully he doesn't transfer. I mean, my gosh, how painful would that be if NIL comes and grabs him? But Bierman, what do you got for yours?
I love your number 2. I don't love your number 3 so much because mine is basically mine's basically the opposite of that. My number 3 is the Fighting Sigs smoke out Notre Dame, baby.
way.
Yes.
Love it. Love it.
I love me
I hope
some
you're
Coach
right.
Cignetti.
I hope you're right.
Those Indiana Hoosiers this season, the train is not stopping quite yet, guys. I've been up and down on Marcus Freeman and the Irish all year. There's been weeks where I've said they're awful. There's weeks where I think they're the best freaking team in the nation. But I'm feeling down right now as they head into this matchup. The Irish are 7.5-point favorites, but I'm telling you, Indiana is getting no respect, and they're going to shock the nation in South Bend on December 20th. These teams are much closer statistically than you might think. They rank number 2 and number 3, respectively, in points scored per game, right around 40 points for each team. They each average around 420 yards per game. They each have top 10 defenses, with Indiana actually at number 3 in the nation, only giving up 256 yards per game, and Notre Dame gives up 296 yards per game. Still top 10, but that's 40 more yards per game. They both have great ball security. They're both very disciplined on the penalty front. Neither team commits a lot of penalties. This game is going to be much closer than the line indicates, and I just feel Coach Sig is going to have his team ready, hungry, and a little angry with a little to prove here, I think, as he believes, I think he said if their name was Michigan and not Indiana, they would have had a better seed. So give me the Hoosiers to win this game outright. That's my number 3. And then number 2, my number 2 bold prediction is that Barry Sanders' single season rushing record remains safe. We have touted Mr. Ashton Genty on this podcast previously this season. I've said how I'm rooting for him to break Barry's all-time single-season rushing record, even though Barry is one of my all-time favorite college players. And Ashton only needs 132 yards for the remainder of the season. So he only needs 132 yards in the CFP to break that record. He averages 191 yards per game, and he hasn't had one game this season below 125 yards rushing. So on paper, it looks like he will get it, but I don't think he will, and here's why. I believe Penn State will beat SMU and then play Boise State. Penn State has a top 10 rushing defense. They only give up 109 yards on the ground per game, and that is against mainly Big Ten squads. Genty has racked up his yards against mainly Mountain West competition. He did have a good game against Oregon at Autzen, no doubt there. He is no doubt an all-time great. However, I just think Penn State's going to load the box against him. They're going to frustrate him and the entire Bronco offense, shut him and the team down. So as much as I think it would be cool to see him break Mr. Sanders' record, I think it's still going to be safe, and that is my number 2 bold prediction of bowl season.
Nice. All right, this is a tough one for me, guys. I was texting you earlier. So my number 1 bold prediction: the Bahamas Bowl will be canceled due to Liberty going out and getting blackout drunk, and their kicker will go missing on a scuba diving accident, and all signs will point to foul play, the punter. Yep. Anyhow, that's
I love it.
I don't know. I can't think of a fifth one. But did you see? I do want to bring this up because now that we're talking about kickers, the kicker for Cincinnati is dating a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. Did you see that?
Yeah. I
Yes,
saw that.
I always thought that was forbidden. Like you can't communicate with the cheerleaders.
You're not allowed to on the same team, but this kicker just got signed by the Bengals like a week ago.
Still, I thought it was forbidden.
Do you think the NFL should force them to stop their relationship?
It's kind of like work relationships. Some companies have issue with that.
Oh, Cowboy fans are all up in arms because she was like happy that he made his extra point.
She's
and
cut.
was like,
"Oh boy,
oh, she's not ugly." She's not ugly.
But and he kind of looks like a. I don't know. I'm not going to make fun of the kid, but really, that's all right. He must be just a great guy. He must have tons of personality.
I love that. He must Pat's number 1 bold prediction. We went to the Cowboys cheerleader in the Bengals.
Jerry Falwell University having the drunken blackout was funny to me. Nice work.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So my number one, you guys, this one just pains me, and it's bold mostly because of what Eric outlined earlier, and that is I have Oregon winning this thing. They just have such a tough path, and I just think amazing year for them in their first year in the Big Ten, and so what a way to cap it. But if that does happen, which I hope with all of my being that it does not happen, that all Husky fans, including myself, will live in a cave for the next 8 months before this next season comes, to fruition. Because I can't imagine living in a world. I had a buddy text me, Keith Giambroni, Eric texted me this week, and he said, "I cannot live in a world where Oregon is a national champion." So that is, I think all of Husky Nation is rooting very hard against Oregon winning it all. Yeah, Jabroni.
Jabroni. Sorry.
Bill, you and I, we went head to head on a couple of our bold predictions. We talked about the Notre Dame one and
bring it. I love this already.
Yeah, Indiana. But this one, you said you think Boise State's going to beat Penn State. My number one bold prediction, Penn State will win it all. I have liked this team since the beginning of the season when I picked them to go over 10.5 wins. This is their best team in at least 20 years, in my opinion. They have 2 losses this season, both to top 10 teams, and each by 1 score. I am all in on Drew Aller, Nick Singleton, Katrin Allen, and Tyler Warren. I absolutely love their draw. That is really what's drawing me to all this. It's SMU, then Boise State, and then either Georgia, Notre Dame, or Indiana to get to the finals. I none of those scare me. I mean, even Georgia, who knows if Beck's going to be playing. Notre Dame, we talked about. Indiana, I love them, but I think Penn State can handle them. In the finals, it is possible that they could play one of the 2 teams that's already beat them, Oregon or Ohio State. But I will take my chances in a rematch. I just absolutely love this pick, and I think it would be cool for a non-top 4 team to win this in the first year of the expanded CFP. So go Nittany Lions. Joe Pa will be smiling from above come January 20th. That is my number one bold prediction. All right, boys, that was a lot of fun. You guys brought it. Those are all really good, bold predictions. I feel like
of all those long shots, I would sprinkle some money on Clemson. I feel like that's
bold.
Their odds. Yeah. I don't know. Dabo could do
plus
it.
5,000.
They're on a heater.
Yeah, I mean, of course. Yeah.
They might lose by 30 to Texas, though. I mean, it could happen. I mean,
but if you're looking for one of the long shots with the money, that might be.
I actually really like Bierman's. I like Bierman's pick. I mean, what'd you say the odds were on Penn State, Eric?
Plus 650.
Okay.
I mean, that might kind of be the best money to.
I just love their path. I really, I don't know what the odds are for them to get to the championship game. But that's maybe where the money should be placed. Because getting there, they could play Oregon or Ohio State, and both of them beat Penn State this year. But I don't know how Penn State doesn't get there. I really don't. So
I like that pick.
All right, everyone. So the last few weeks we shared, very exciting news around our Nailed It segment. We continue to have just great turnouts each week with our listener segment and listener contest there. Want to give congratulations to our week 5 winners. We had 2 players tie at 3 points. So both of them will make it to our leaderboard and be eligible for the end of season Super Bowl edition with the chance to win the all expenses paid trip with the 3 of us. This week's winners are 2 newbies, Jason Waxman and Corey Taylor, 2 Cincinnati boys, 2 buddies of mine from the Queen City here. So congrats to both of you guys. I texted both of them to let them know before the show, and they both were just very excited to be a part of this. So that is pretty cool. Each week gives new opportunities. So if you're listening to this and you haven't done it, no worries. If you haven't played yet, join this week. Submit your picks. To learn more on how you can do this, go to our website, enter sandmansports.com, click on the Nailed It tab. You'll see all the relevant info there, including the link to make this week's picks. All right, Bill, take it away for Nailed It.
All right, so I'll gloss over the standings here because we're not trying to pile on with Eric. He had a tough week, 0 points. I had 1 point, and Pat 3 points. So nice work. So Pat, really good week. You're right back in the thick of things. Bierman leads with 34. I have 28, and Pat has 27. So in the race to Cincinnati, Seattle, or Minnesota, it is really getting tight here as we head into bowl season and the NFL playoffs, which is exciting. So, all right. So let's just jump right into the episode 17 questions. And you guys, Army Navy this week, right? It's definitely a sports spectacle. It's on my bucket list. I've heard just nothing but amazing things about this. They're in Landover, Maryland this week, 12 p.m. Pacific on Saturday. All three of us, I know, we just really want to shout out any veterans that are listening, anybody that's currently serving. Thank you for your service. This is an amazing, sporting event every year. And kudos to these guys that are serving our country and playing football at the same time. So pretty cool. Did you guys also know that Army has 998 yards passing in 12 games? And let me just repeat that. 998 yards. They're 11-1. And Bierman's picking them to lose in their bowl game, right? They're throwing for 83 yards per game. I mean, that's just staggering to me. And the question is, how many yards will they throw for versus Navy? So again, they've averaged 83 yards per game. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1, set. All right. Bierman went 68. Pat 101. Sanders 108. All right. So I still can't get over the lack of passing game from Army, but what's crazy is Navy is not much better. So let me just hit you with a couple things here. They've thrown for 1,410 yards or 128 yards per game. But this blew me away. They have 88 receptions or 8 per game. So they have 22 catches on the season that are not from running backs. I mean, that's just amazing. 2 per game. Okay. The question is, how many catches will non-running backs have for Navy on Saturday? And again, they've averaged 2 per game. That is just incredible, guys. Come on. Okay. All right. You guys ready? 3, 2, 1, set. Nice. Bierman, what?
Wow.
Again, Bierman and I on the same wavelength. Bierman and I both guessed 4. Pat went 0. And that is a really good guess. Because it could be 0, could be 1. That's a good one. All right, we're getting off the Army-Navy game. I just thought that it deserved 2 questions this week, and especially given those amazing stats. Question number 3. The game of the week obviously has to be Packers at Seahawks. Okay, no, I'm kidding. Buffalo travels to the Motor City. We've got a clash of potential Super Bowl opponents. This should be a really fun one. Pat, I think, had it with the under in his Stone Cold Locks. This is going to be a 2-parter, and we've done this before. I don't know if we've done it since we've opened it up to listener feedback. So just listen up or read here on the thing. But the question is, which quarterback will throw for more yards? That's the qualifier. So it's either Josh Allen or Jared Goff. You have to get that right to get a point, which is how many yards will that quarterback throw for? Okay, so your answer is a quarterback's name and how many yards he's going to throw for. If you don't get the quarterback right, though, you cannot qualify for the point. 3, 2, 1, set. All right, I got Goff 308, Bierman, Allen 241, Pat, Goff 252. Yeah. Anyway, okay. Question number 4. Sunday Night Football. The aforementioned Seahawks will host the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay's favored by 3 points. I think it's going to be an electric atmosphere at Lumen Field. Definitely huge NBC playoff implications. It's Sunday Night Football, which is always hyped here in Seattle. Both of these teams can move the ball a bunch, but I actually think I would argue, and stats show, that the defenses are actually the better side of the ball for both teams. And so the question is, how many punts will there be in the game total? Okay, Michael Dixon for the Seahawks averages 4.2 punts per game. Daniel Whalen for the Packers averages 3.3 punts per game. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, send. Bierman 8, Pat, 7. Sanders, 5. Okay. Last question. Monday Night Football. We have 2 games this week. The games, I don't know about these teams playing. I mean, we got Bears at the Vikes. I mean, we got Falcons at the Raiders. Pat, I'm just kidding. Go Vikes. How many total points will be scored in these 2 games? Okay, so the Bears Vikes over under is 43.5, and the Falcons Raiders is 44.5. How many total points will be scored combined on Monday Night Football? All right, are you guys ready? All right, 3, 2, 1, send. Sanders, 70. Pat, 89 points. Skull Vikes, and it's 89-0 Vikes with a 0-0 tie in the Atlanta Raiders game. I love it. Yep. Nice. And then Bierman, 78 points. All right, boys. Bierman, better luck this week, dude, on all your picks.
I'm
not necessarily I nailed
now.
it. Good. I'm glad.
In an hour and 15 minutes of this podcast, or however long it was, you guys made me feel so much better because I know I think I just got 5 nailed points. So
you can always
we'll
call.
See you guys in Cincinnati.
You can always call
Thanks,
me,
boys.
Bill.
I do love that, Pat. That was very, very sweet of you. Appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everyone, bowl season is upon us, and it's going to be a great few weeks. So excited about that. But our time here today is over, as it is time to exit Sandman Sports, sadly. As always, I would like to remind all of our loyal listeners to check us out on social media, like us, subscribe to us, and please tell others about us. Check us out on Instagram at NRCMan Sports. Check out our website at NRCMansports.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at NRCMan Sports. Follow us on Facebook at NRCMan Sports. Hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Thank you both, and thank you all for listening. Take care, guys.